So, for the last time now, let's touch on the worst of the worst, right? So now we're gonna talk about worst movies. Yay! So to kick things off, CC, do you have at least one worst movie pick?
No, I actually have quite a few worst movies. One actually came out this year, so for me that's that's an improvement. The other, although I will go through them pretty quickly. So I have two films, and I divide them into two categories. Two films that I was expecting them to be pretty bad, and they somehow were worse even than I was expecting. And those are Theodore Rex, the 90s buddy cop film where Whoopi Goldberg teams up with a dinosaur,
Please
and
explain to me why you watched that.
Yeah,
I was
that's a
morbidly
classically bad film.
curious. No, okay,
Why?
because like
What the hell is that?
no, okay, no. It's a truly, and the lore behind the film is actually more interesting than the film itself. Like this is a movie where Whoopi Goldberg tried to legally get out of being in it. She hated it so much, and they like had to legally force her to fulfill her contract and stay in the film. So it ends up, so you can tell, like every scene, she has this look of, fine, I'll complete my contract and go home. But that's like somehow just one of the least offensive part. Like the film as a whole is just every bad late stage buddy cop fatigue, but also sci-fi blockbuster trope. Like all of it. It's just an absolute mess. There's no direction. The humor is odd. Like I don't. It's one of those comedies where I feel like they're just sitting there with like a ratio of like how many jokes to put in per scene, and they ran out and they were like, I've got it. All the gaps, fart jokes. That's what we're gonna do. We're going. That's how we'll drive the rest of the movie through. And it's somehow boring. This is a movie that opens with an anthropomorphized dinosaur being murdered by a drone in the shape of a butterfly, and this movie is somehow boring. I don't understand how they pulled it off. And then the other film that I expected to be terrible, but was somehow even worse than I was expecting, is Dragon Ball Evolution. Which again, I don't know why I watched that either. That was another one that I have a friend who's more into Dragon Ball, and he had watched it and said this movie is
bad movie. It's like
It's-
notoriously terrible movie, dog.
it's notoriously like oh my, and like it's one of those films I was like, again, like Theodore Rex, I was like, okay, it's bad, but maybe I'll have fun with it, I'll laugh. And then it's like not even 20 minutes in, I'm like, what is hope? What is joy? What is laughter? How can I recover these lost feelings? Because it's just this. It feels like, I don't know if anyone here has seen the Jonathan Frakes Thunderbirds, but it's that similar level of like misguided 90s adaptation where we have to take whatever we're adapting and just kind of strip it of all of its. We have to strip any sense of individuality, any sense of intrigue, any sense of like any sense of nuance and idiosyncrasy, and we have to make it into this just generic sludge. And so much of Dragon Ball Evolution was this painful experience of just watching generic sludge. But then the other three movies that I watched this year that I would put as the worst also hurt, but they hurt because each one of them is from a director that I actually like a lot. Like every one of these movies is from one of my all-time favorite directors, and they were all bitterly disappointing. And then one of them even came out this year, so drum roll for that. But first up, True Lies, James Cameron. Oh my God!
Like,
Say
you hate it.
what?
What? No, I hated this movie.
Oh
Like,
wow! Oh, that's
No,
interesting.
It's a very it's a very mean spirited. It's a very mean spirited movie.
It's a very mean-spirited movie. No, most of the
I had a ton of
runtime.
fun with it.
No,
But
no, no,
very
no,
mean-spirited.
I couldn't. I
and then
couldn't. Like,
the terrorism stuff don't hold up at all. Like it was bad then.
oh no,
It was bad then.
that
It's
stuff
worse
doesn't.
now.
Yeah,
And then
it's,
like all of the stuff with Jimmy Lee Curtis is straight up, clearly like what he want to do to the wife or something. He ain't really sure because he's going through a divorce anytime.
like I'm just.
I remember
Oh,
having a ton of fun with
no. True Lies screams, I'm going through a divorce and I'm mad at women
Divorced
now.
man.
Like
Yeah.
that whole
He's the
film,
most
it's
divorced
got
man
this-
right now.
Oh my God. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I think if you're a male artist and you're going through a divorce, you need to go on like an island, take a little vacation for a few years, and then you can come back and make art again. Because, oh my God, sitting through True Lies was an absolutely painful experience. Like, especially since for me it was also hyped because this is a rare movie. It's hard to find. It's a really difficult movie to get a hold of and watch. So when I finally got my hands on it, I was very excited. It's like, oh yeah,
I think that is days some of Arnold's best acting.
of it. I think Arnold flexes his comedy chops in that movie quite a bit in a way that I like. Like he has some scenes. Then the movie will have but for the most part, like he's pretty funny. And then we all know Jamie Lee Curtis is one of the best comedians of the last ever. Honestly, like she's hysterical in this movie. But then they just get these uncomfortable sequences where I feel like I'm supposed to be laughing, but the fact that this movie wants me to laugh at this scene actually makes me feel more uncomfortable more than anything else. So True Lies. This one is probably going to be much less controversial, but House of Gucci.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Okay, you finally suffered through that. Yay.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because I had seen Last Duel the same year, and that was one of the best. Like, I think if you go back to that year, that was one of my best films of the year, Last Duel, because absolute masterpiece. But House of Gucci is so bad. Like,
if Jared Leto wasn't in it, it would have been. It's hard to judge it without that, but I don't think it would have been that bad. But
Jared Leto is
he played this ridiculous Mario.
Really does.
Absolutely ridiculous.
No, absolutely ridiculous. I have particular beef with the soundtrack because it starts off almost interesting, and then as the film gets on, it gets slowly less inspired, and then we get to this aggravating point where we're doing like opera and Italian folk music because oh look Italy, and then we drop a German opera, and I lost my mind. Like I was so. This is one of my just linchpin villain origin story moments of the year because I'm watching this movie and I'm like, okay, fine, yeah, opera, we get it, and then they drop a German opera and I go, oh my God, so we can't even do lazy needle drops, right? Like clearly, like
all right, CC, speaking of needle drops, right? I don't know if you know this song. This is Paid in Full, the Cool Cut remix, right? So there's this one, runway sequence, right? I remember mentioning in my review that wait, this song come out in 1987 or 88, but the setting is not in the mid 80s. So why are we hearing this song? I understand it's a runway song. I get it, but it's the wrong year.
Well, it's this absolute complex mix of baffling needle drops and boring needle drops. Like the last one in the movie, which was Tracy Chapman's Baby Can I Hold You, but the one where Pavarotti has a verse as well, was truly one of the moments where I just sat there with my head in my hands trying to make sense of the life universe and everything. Like, it starts out Tracy Chapman's like, oh, weird song, and then Pavarotti comes in. I was like, oh my God, get me out of here. But no, House of Gucci. And then, finally, a film that came out this year from a director I otherwise enjoy, Next Goal Wins by Taika Waititi.
Oh, you saw it? Okay, we're getting that a couple weeks from now theatrically, and I've heard a lot of bad things about it.
I will just say I'm not going to get too much into why I dislike the film if you guys haven't got to it yet, but pretty much I'm sure you'll probably go into it. You might enjoy it even if your sights are a little less high. For me, it's just disappointing. Like here, it just has this. If you don't like self-aware humor, like haha, aren't sports movies so cliche? You're going to get tired of this movie very quickly. Very, very, very quickly. Because most of the jokes come back to some version of, hey, remember this trope in sports movies? Remember these other movies? Remember this other stuff? And for me, it's especially disappointing from someone like Taika, who at one point was someone that if you asked me, talking about like fresh, exciting filmmakers, I would have like listed him at the top of that list. But then with Love and Thunder, his inability to keep his mouth shut in interviews and just saying stupid crap, it's just been this it's been this absolute train of disappointment for so long, and it just feels like, and like I will say, Next Goal Wins is not as bad as Love and Thunder. I could see people enjoying Next Goal Wins, in fact, but I could see some people enjoying it. But for me, it was just this lifeless, disappointing, stale comedy that doesn't really have much. I mean, like it's got there's I think some of its funniest are moments where it does kind of get into some of the like in jokes and some of the self-effacing humor about indigenous life in American Samoa, but otherwise it's just, and I'm not someone who likes sports films in the first place, so a sports movie that actively goes out of its way to remind you about how boring and like repetitive and like uninteresting and cliche sports films are in general was never going to do much for me. So yeah, no, that was I would say my worst film of the, aside from 65, with Adam Driver. I would say
I'll bring up 65. I'll bring up that.
That's on my list.
Oh god, yeah. No, I'm glad someone's talking about 60. I almost did 65, but I needed to rant about Theodore Rex and Dragon Ball Evolution and the other ones a little bit. But like for this year, Next Goal Wins is disappointing. 65 is also disappointing, but I'll let you guys talk about that.
Right. Well, you know what? Well, when you get to my list, right? But Tracy.
Exactly.
Yeah, Tracy, do you have any worst movie picks?
So I don't have a worst movie pick. What I have is could have been better. So I don't know. I have a could have been better list because I mean there are some films that I have actively stayed away from, and there are some things that could qualify as worst. But then I always go back to that one time in 2018 where someone I sat down through Predator and nothing could give me that feeling of what the hell than Predator. So my list is more of a could have been better, if that's fine. And I'll go through a couple of them. Indiana Jones, because I mean I was super excited about Indy and I was super excited about all of that. And there was some good bits about it. But when he time traveled back, then it's like, oh, it's Indy who actually. I was like, no, could have been better. Heart of Stone, which is a Netflix film, which tries to do spycraft. It's Gal Gadot starring in it, and I looked at it and I was like, okay, so this is 70s Diana. You remember when Diana didn't have powers and she wasn't Wonder Woman anymore and she was just basically an international spy?
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's like that meets Modesty Blaze, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong. I have a thing for Brenda Starr and Modesty Blaze, and I'm probably selling out myself. But anyhow, that is that. And I looked at it and I was like, this is fun, but it could have been better. Equalizer 3. I sat down and I watched it with Mom. Mom has seen it a few times.
Okay.
And she loves it. Mom loves it. So if Mom loves it, I'm like, okay,
it was fine. It was fine.
I didn't hate it. Yeah. But I can see why you might hate it. Yeah, as I say, could have been better. Yeah.
This is my problem. It's not. These are not films that I was like, oh my god, what is this? It's although there is one on the list, but it but it could have been better. I loved, even though they were in separate movies, it's a different movie at the time. I can't remember her name right now, but I love bringing back the young actress that he was.
Dakota Fanning. That's Man on Fire. Yeah, Man on Fire.
Man on Fire. So I loved it, and we just cracked up about
Yeah, that's a big factor. I think why I liked it. Yeah, is because it's just a callback to that, and the way I would frame it is like it could totally be a sequel to Man on Fire, which is a movie I love.
Yeah, and I'm from the time she started to interact, I was like, okay, clearly he knows her somewhere along the lines, and then at the end it's revealed how Robert knows her and all that kind of stuff. It's good. It's just that it could have been better. So I'm up to my three of them. Quantum Mania. Now here's my thing with Quantum Mania. Quantum Mania is Peyton Reed. It's Peyton Reed's Star Wars. It is Peyton Reed doing what he think could have been a version of Star Wars. We got the cantina, we got the military might. It's Star Wars. Yeah. But I feel like, and I think even Peyton himself had said so at one point in time, but I feel like stakes could have been higher. I was fully expecting Paul's character to get stuck inside the quantum realm. I did not care for MODOK at all. That was no way to introduce MODOK.
Nobody needed MODOK. Nobody needed
if you took out all the scenes where MODOK is, you still have Quantumania. And I don't know if I needed that. I feel like the two strongest, hilariously, the two strongest characters in there is Janet and Kang. And I feel like after 30 years, the two of them had a relationship. And that is
Yes.
just, a whole other scene. So
Yeah.
Quantumania is on that. And then the top two could have been better. All right. Now that to quote BB and CC Winans, now that it's over,
I see you. Mhm.
yeah, The Flash is one of those
Thank you.
is that kind of movie that you look at and you be like, no, I am fully prepared for DC Studios. I am ready for DC
Right.
Studios. I'm ready for the first 10 years of Gods and Monsters, as James Gunn has put it out, and all of that is well and good. That's brilliant. But what you did there, after all these directors and everything trying their hands at it, you remember there was a time when there was Grant Morrison was supposed to be writing a draft for this movie, and that never happened.
Oh God, I remember that. Yeah, he supposedly Ezra Miller brought him on. Yeah.
I was like, okay, all of this is going on, and yet I still have this huge CGI head. The Chrono Ball does nothing for me. And let's not even get to the whole Barry takes babies and puts them in microwaves. Like, this
I'm
movie
sorry, what?
is. Oh, no, you need to watch that. There's, slight
no.
spoiler for everyone. There's
I
a
thought that scene was kind of fun. That scene was kind of fun for what it was. Yes, the movie is trash, but that scene was a good scene. But yeah.
The funnest things for me was like, okay, the idea of getting to see Barry interact with his mother, who happens to be Latina, and I was like, that's a pretty cool, interesting thing. The cameo of Gal, because when in doubt, just put Gal in as Wonder Woman to come in. And even the end sequence there, I know George Clooney in a recent interview says he would rather be on drugs than go back into the Batman universe. But when I saw him pop up at the end, I said,
that was funny.
I know they want to do. Here's my thing. I know they want to do Brave and Bold with a young Damien, and I looked at it and I was like, I could see that. That's fine. What I have with the Flash is that I saw this entire movie in seasons 1, 2, and 3 of the Flash.
Yep.
What are you doing that is different? So so there's that. And then finally, in terms of could have been really better if you have been dreaming about this film since before you were married. If you have been living in this world of your own very own Star Wars, then you really need to do better. Because I sat down and I watched Rebel Moon.
Ah, boy.
And
total trash.
I literally don't like. Okay, the first couple of minutes, I looked at it as like, oh, so we're doing it from the perspective of Leia is, what would have happened if Leia was on a farm instead of Luke? And I said, okay, let me see where this goes. No, that's not where we're going. Okay, so it's Jyn Erso, who is part of a thing, but she's also trying to fight the rebellion. No, it's not necessarily that. And the problem I have with Zach is, it's too long, and it's not long as in like Killers of the Flower Moon long. It's long. Like I don't need to see. I don't need a minute on the green falling from, her hand as it hits the ground, and then she snips
and
the
then,
ground.
And then, of course, CC, of course, he had a doom sound effect.
Oh, of course.
For rice greens,
For rice greens. And I was like, I don't need it now. I will say this. I will say this because I sat down and I had a whole conversation with myself pre-Rebel Moon and post-Rebel Moon. I think cinema needs Zack Snyder because you need people like Zach who is very effort. This is my idea, and I'm going to do it. I feel like with all the let's just do a bankable thing on this IP that has been around for 90 years, and we will do it. You need people who, cinema is coming out and saying, hey, I'm going to do this, and it's probably going to flop, but I'm going to do it and do it exactly how I think it could be. But that being said, my problem ends with, and I've been in groups of people where I have had an idea and I thought the idea was white hot. And then I go and I tell it to people and they're like, yes, your idea is good. How about if we do X, Y, and Z? And I had to listen to other people. And I know he seems to be open, but I don't know if he listens to other people because you can tell. although I will give the one shining moment, I did enjoy Ray Fisher, for that little brief period as basically Saw Gerrera. I was like, okay, so he saw Gerrera, and his sister was Steeler, and that's it. But these are the movies: Equalizer 3, Indiana Jones, Heart of Stone, Rebel Moon. Oh, right, I'm sorry, I forgot one. So this is a very good movie. This is a very good movie. The reason why it could have been better is because it feels like if the entire movie was just a setup for the part two, which we are going to see. So for that reason, I have Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning on my could have been better list because I saw how
Okay.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah,
Hot take.
whoa, laddie,
I
whoa.
love it. Let's go.
McQuarrie,
I totally understand where you're coming from with that.
Mhm.
Because it didn't need to be a
McQuarrie,
cliffhanger.
so here's my thing. All of these films, we know that there could have been more or anything of the sort. But each of the Mission Impossible films feels like, okay, this is wrapped and we're going to go into the other story. There are things within Dead Reckoning that tells me we're setting up for either part two or like, okay, I'll put it this way. I can, in my head canon, I can see based on what I saw in that movie, Ethan is either going to die or going to disappear, which means that Haley Atwell's Grace is going to become the new Ethan Hunt. She's going to join forces with Paris, who somehow survives a knife wound, which is Pom Clementev's character, and is going to also join the IMF. And the black guy who is part of the CIA, that's going to be the new team, and they're going to be the ones moving forward, produced by Christopher McQuarrie. That is because of all the setups that's going on there. Not even Gabriel, who I get the idea of Gabriel being like the archangel and the villain and that kind of stuff. Not
Mhm.
even Gabriel's motivations. I felt it could have been tightened a little bit more. Now, that
Yeah.
being said, I'm going to buy my ticket and I'm going in on opening day, God Spare Life, and watch Dead Reckoning Part 2. But it did feel like if most of it was a setup for Part 2. And of all the Mission Impossibles, and I sat down and watched the one with Jeremy Renner. Of all the Mission Impossibles, I looked at that one and I was like, good film, could have been better. So
Right.
that's my, and again, these are not horrible films, except for the one that aggravates me. But oh, did you guys realize that in Rebel Moon he still goes back and does that whole choir of screaming like banshees? You're hearing the high pitched
What?
Yeah,
banshees
yeah,
is
yeah. In the score, I heard it. Yeah.
in the
How does a man progress so far and learn nothing? You know?
I know, right?
yeah.
I know.
So those are
Much to say, I
those are
don't know.
my
I don't know.
that's my could have been better list.
All right, so if you all don't mind, I will just share my worst movies list. I'm not going to stay long on them because they're worst
Right.
movies, right? But I do have a few dishonorable mentions, and just to quote you, Ricardo, noble failures, right?
Correct.
Those two are pretty much interchangeable here, right, in this section. Ricardo, you might get mad at me for this, but I'm sorry. Leave the World Behind. I saw what he
Yeah.
was trying to do, but that
Yeah, okay.
ending just
No,
didn't
I
work for
agree.
me at all.
Right.
It was just build up, and then nope, movie done, bye, and run away.
Yeah.
Meg 2, The Trench. Thank God I did not spend money to see that. The
Lord.
only redeemable aspect of that film is the third act because it's so over the top and dumb. But all that build up leading up to it is just so dull and boring. And you're like, am I here to watch prehistoric sharks? What are we doing with what was all this
Yeah.
stuff? I don't care. Moving on. Outlaw Johnny Black. Ricardo and I,
Yep.
we really wanted to like that film. And I do appreciate the fact that Michael Jai White wants to pay tribute to, the Western genre, specifically the blaxploitation Western, right?
Mhm.
But the story just went nowhere. It had a basic setup, which it sort of just threw away to add some long narrative that just went on for forever, and then come back to the original narrative. And even that narrative was just so thin and undeveloped in the first place that when it happens or when it progresses or when it comes to an end, it's just like, well, okay, that's it. I waited 2 hours for that conclusion. All right, whatever. White Men Can't Jump. As bad as it was,
Yep.
bad as it was, I do see the effort that they tried to put into it, right? They tried to update the formula, but I mean the original film with Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson is a masterpiece in my opinion. And I only found out that like just rewatching it in preparation for this, right? So yeah, you could see how this remake just feel to capture the feel and the tone of that, right? But I do admire what they were trying to do with it. They just feel with it, right? Same thing I would say about House Party. Again, I see what they were going for. I see what they're trying to do, but it just didn't work. The two redeemable aspects of that movie were Kid Cudi, who was like literally the funniest thing in that whole show. Every moment with him just had me cracking up. And LeBron James, right, which this whole story was centered on. I like that he played against characters, so to speak. I thought that worked, right? But yeah, other than that, it was like, you remember the two leads? You remember the songs that were in it? Nobody? Okay, right. 65. I wanted to put this on my worst stuff list. It was this close. It was this closer. It was this close. Like it's bad. Like it's still bad.
Yeah,
but
it's bad.
I get on paper what this is trying to do, but they just could not capitalize on it. Oh, guy ends up in what he assumes is another planet, but it's actually Earth 65 million years in the past, and there's dinosaurs. That's a recipe for a great, B movie right there. But no, they just made it so over serious. And yeah, the girl, I forgot the girl's name, who played young Gamora, and she was also in Barbie. She was there too. It was fine, right? It was okay with her, seeing her with Adam Driver, even though she didn't have much to say. But other than that, it was just so dull and boring,
Yeah.
And last but not least, The Flash. As much as I admire what they were trying to do with it, though, especially with the emotional moments, this just felt like fan service in the worst ways. And I'm gonna say some controversial, right down to bringing back Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne and adding him into the story. And you're thinking, it just stops right there. No, they just kept going with these fan service moments, going and going and going and going. There's an instance of another Batman. I'm not gonna spoil who it is. That was kind of funny, but still, it was just like, all right, really. But it's the moments where they were showing like whatever verse it was, not the multiverse, but whatever it was, the Speed Force falling apart. I just seen all these callbacks and references, like visual references to all the characters, and I'm just watching this. I'm like, why are we doing this? Anybody need to see the Nicolas Cage version of Superman? What's the point of that? Is the point? No.
It's a dumb thing that Kevin Smith wouldn't shut up about. They have to wait because the true fans know about that.
Exactly, but they sell it. But it's the end of the DCU, so we might as well pay tribute to all things DC. Though you're assuming that everybody who's going into this should care about everything that DC and Warner ever put out over 4 or 5 decades. But no, we came to see Flash, not Superman because. And Nicolas Cage Superman because no, and Michael Keaton's Batman because no. We came for the Flash. What the hell? Sorry. You see, CC?
Well, it's weird because I feel like that whole bit is meant to be that whole sequence, and so much of the movie, from Michael Keaton to the whole like montage at the end with all the alternate universe Supermen, including disgustingly, the Christopher Reeves recreated with AI Superman bit.
That was I find the worst is not that is George Reeves.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah, George Reeves is in it, and somebody pointed out.
Oh,
I
that's
don't know.
worse.
That's by far worse. It's something somebody pointed out that the movie came out on the anniversary of George Reeves' death.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know how you could get worse from Christopher Reeves.
It is worse than Christopher Reeves. That is, I mean, the George Reeves thing was like particularly grotesque, and I had a big meltdown over when Ghostbusters did it. I was surprised I wasn't as angry.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't as angry with this one, but it's still pretty bad. Like it's just as bad.
Well, I think,
in my opinion.
Well, I think the thing that was so frustrating to me watching the movie. Well, not watching the movie, because again, I never gave that shit the time of day. But the thing that was so frustrating to me is the movie, as it got closer and closer to release date, kept hyping up the multiverse aspect. And it kept being like, look, we got this Batman. Look, we got Michael Keaton back. Don't you love I'm a big fan of Michael Keaton's Batman. So, like, of course, that was going to be like, maybe I will go see it. But the more I heard about how many cameos and references and Easter eggs, the more I started to... I feel like it had I don't know if this was for everyone, but for me it had the opposite effect. Like the harder they tried to make me want to watch this movie, the less interested I got. Because it felt weirdly cloying, right?
What's sad about it is that there's a version of that I think is possible that could work. right?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
I'm in the camp that thinks that, look, I know I had a meltdown over Ghostbusters, but I don't mind when you bring back dead people. It's yeah,
Right.
we could
It's just how you do it.
yeah. And so I don't think the digital necromancy is necessarily a bad thing, but it is mostly a bad thing. So
Yeah.
anyway, Matthew, continue please. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for my top 5, right? Number 5, sorry Ricardo, Good Burger 2. I had to put this there.
Yeah. No, sorry.
This just
So
came
sorry.
out
I have it on my list.
way too late.
That's funny enough.
I mean, Keenan and Kel are great, right? It was great seeing them together. I will lie, right?
Yeah.
But this was too late. Like everybody grew up, the fans grew up, and like I'm not even the biggest fan of Good Burger, but I was a huge fan of Keenan and Kel. It was cool seeing them again, but like it's literally like the same film as before. I was supposed to like it because it's Keenan and Kel together, and it's Good Burger too, right? Like it's almost as if the whole world asked for the sequel, right? But no, he didn't. Number 4, You People. Jonah Hill and Eddie Murphy showing little chemistry, doing these terrible, tired race jokes. And it's all within the guise of this romantic comedy that doesn't even do anything to elevate the genre. I'll get to elevating of the romantic comedy genre later on, right? But this one, no. Number 3, yes, Ricardo, you're right. This needs to be on my list as well. The Expendables 4 or Expendables, right? Wow. This actually makes the third film better, like a masterpiece. I know a lot of people did not like 3 because, it's PG-13. I mean, it sucks. This one was R, and it sucks even more.
Here's the thing. For me, it was like 3 betrays its own premise. Because 3 is like, because the whole point of the series is, look, don't you like watching these old action stars still do things? And then they're like, well, now except we're not going to do that. We're going to have
let's bring Ronda Rousey and 3 other people that nobody knows, and
And I'm sitting here going, when you take away the gimmick, like I feel like that was for me not only was it a movie that I disliked it and it made me kind of look back on the franchise in a more negative way, but it's what killed my interest for the 4th one outside of the Terry Crews controversy. And the whole thing was, once you take away the gimmick, this is a very stale franchise. This is a very boring franchise.
The franchise is the gimmick. That's it. I mean, have nothing beyond that.
And once you take away the gimmick, what's that?
Did something with it.
Yeah, but anyway, well, this show tried to do something a little bit different. So, spoiler alert, they tried to kill off a quote Stallone, and then was surprise, he wasn't dead. He faked his death, haha, right?
Of course not.
So
that pissed me off.
Oh boy.
yeah, of course. But because I knew the end, because you spoiled it for me, Ricardo. I knew going in with to expect that, right? But it's the end where it actually revealed what happened to his plane. I was like, this show actually gave away with that? Nah, man, come on, right? But talk about this is the 4th film. Imagine this, the 4th film in this franchise, and it's already old. It is so old, it's so tired and watered down. That's the problem.
And the biggest problem for me by far, you could get with all that bullshit, but if you could pull off Tony Jaa and Iko Uwais. I mean,
yes, they didn't even fight.
I'm upset about that.
And Iko Uwais had so the fight with him and Jason Statham start off strong, but they did nothing with that. I'm like, wow, what is this? I'll close this, right? This show is so old and dated. They had it go right because 50 Cent in the movie. They dropped they did the worst needle drop, I would say, of 2023. PIMP, you know.
Rubbish.
And how they work it into the story was rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Terrible. Hate this, right? Number 2. Listen, when you're doing a horror film, right? Try to make the horror film kind of horrific, please. Please, Five Nights at Freddy's. Please do that for me, please.
Wow. Okay.
Just do this for me, please. Don't have me just sit down and just watch and just stare into the screen like, when is this thing gonna get scary? And you had a simple premise, simple premise, right? Guy works in all amusement. I know, well, that's another sin. It just kind of came and went for me too, right? But you had a simple job, right? Guy works at all amusement park, wherever it is, amusement store, whatever. And these animatronic creatures come out at night and doing weird shit, right? Insanity ensues. Do that. No, let's have the guy go through this thing where he looking for his brother, and he has to do this dream logic to figure out what happened to the brother, and blah, 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 and the dream in the show, and just like, where's the scares, and blah, blah, blah. It's terrible. Forget it, right? And
Gotcha.
number one, in my mind, it could have been Five Nights at Freddy's, right? But this one, which I saw quite recently, actually a few days ago, the reason why it's up there, boy, is because with the director involved, there was no excuse for this being so bad. And yet, in a way, there was. Rebel Moon, Part
Yeah.
1,
Wow.
A Child of Fire.
Right.
Yeah.
A guy like Snyder, right? I mean, CC, I know you hate 300, I know you hate Watchmen, but I
Yep.
love those. I think those are his best works. But like the guy who brought visual flair Dread, to that, right? And he get, you take it, all right, well, he's gonna do something with a story that he came up with that initially he pitched to Lucasfilm and yada yada yada, right? But just like Sucker Punch, no offense, Tracy, when it comes to him like writing his own stuff, it just does not work, boy. It just, in this case, boy, it's just all these blatant. It's just so derivative, though. It's just flat out boring. And I'm watching characters, and I'm supposed to care. And Snyder's trying to tell you, yo, look at this cool chick who has katanas, but they're not lightsabers, but they light up, man. And she's killing like the
Yeah.
spider lady, man. Is this cool? I'm like, who is she? Why should I care? And that was me throughout the entirety of the show. Who is she? Who is he? Who are they? Why should I care? And then you have the goal to say, oh, well, there's going to be a rated R cut coming soon. So all the stuff and all the blood that you didn't see, you're going to see. No, I don't care. I don't care. Give me a proper story. Give me a reason to care. That's so egregious too, because literally yesterday, right? Christmas Day, right? Yeah, he actually drops the trailer for the second film. And I'm just watching, it's like,
Okay.
don't care. Moving on, right? But
I didn't even bother to click
Yeah.
on the trailer.
But at the end of the day, it's Zack Snyder. It's a guy who is mostly known for action. It's a guy who is known mostly for just giving you visual splendor, right? Whether it's over the top or ridiculous, right? I didn't even get that save for like a few explosions or a few like battle scenes or whatnot, right? But everything else just felt so dry and dull and uninspired and boring. I just stared at this, literally just stared at this, didn't even blink, and I was just like, yeah, why should I care about this? Like, this is where we at, Zack Snyder? This is where we at? So I don't know, boy. I really had to put this way because I don't know, like a guy like him who has been in the game for like what 2 decades now. Yeah, he could have given us something way better than this one, but nah. But it's my Star Wars film, so enjoy it. No, sorry, just because you enjoy it in your head doesn't mean the rest of the world should, right? Just see. So yeah, Rebel Moon for me is the worst film of 2023.
Yep.
So yeah, Ricardo, I know you was waiting on this for a long while, so yeah, you could share your worst stuff list, and then you could jump into best stuff, and then we'll jump proper into the best movies list. So yeah, Ricardo, take it away.
Yeah, so I just have a lot of overlaps with you. But it hurt me to say it, but I have one dishonorable mention. It's a kind of noble failure. I understand why this movie was made the way it was, but I would have preferred if they took a different direction, and I mentioned that in my review. The Mario movie.
Oh, Super Mario Brothers movie. Okay.
Yeah, I was. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate this. I get why it was made. It has a couple of okay moments, but I just, the we call them illumination. Yeah,
They sacrificed story for style. There was a lot of style, and the story was just so sped up, Joe. Like I know video game references, right? But it was just so quick, though. Like you can't even hold on. You can't even latch onto it, right?
And I prefer if somebody like Mazda did it, or even somebody like DreamWorks or something like that. But Illumination was to me the worst call with respect to that. And then the storytelling again. It's very basic, and I get it's skewing young. I get why they're doing it. You had to compare it to something like Paw Patrol or something like that in terms of what the audience should be for this.
Right.
I get that, but I would have preferred if they went a little more smarter with it. Like if in my personal favorite game in the franchise is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. That's my personal favorite in the franchise. I love that game. It's really really funny, offbeat, off the wall. But something like Thousand Year Door, Superstar Saga, those games, I wanted the writing to be like that. That's just me, that's no bias. So that's just that. Everything else, Matthew pretty much covered. So yeah, 65. Yep.
I feel like that's the best. That's the best 65 review. 65. Yep. Sucked.
Yep. Yeah. You people was just a mess with Eddie Murphy overall. I just didn't like the script. I didn't like the story, and I didn't like the underlying message and what it was trying to say and what it was trying to do. It just none of it worked.
Yeah.
White Man Can't Jump. Yeah, kind of hard.
Boy. Mm-hmm.
House Party. Yeah. Dial of Destiny. Big disappointment. I really. Look,
this should have been in my noble failures. Sorry about that. Yeah.
I don't. completely hate this, but it was somehow worse than 4, and I didn't like 4. So yeah, moving on. Yeah, worst of the year, yeah, Secret Invasion and Velma. Well, you mentioned that was TV. Good Burger, yep. Rebel Moon, yep.
Yep.
Outlaw Johnny Black, yep. That was a big disappointment. I really felt we could have gotten, you know, Blazing Saddles, but it's Black Dynamite. You know, we could have gotten some as funny as, I really wish we got some as funny as Black Dynamite. Right, this is my 2 worst of the year. The 2 that just like, I can't believe I watch this in theaters. I waste my effing cash. It kind of pissed me off. They made it the way it is because, again, they squandered potential, and it's just lazy nonsense all across. Expendable 4. Seriously,
boy.
F this movie. And then the worst, what I consider the worst experience I had in theaters for the year, Wish.
Ooh. God damn. That is your pick for worst, man? Jeez.
Yes.
No, I know you hate it, but wow. All right, tell us more. Tell us more.
Yeah, they take a good Wish.
Yeah.
One, they commit the number 1 goddamn crime. Your story could suck, voice acting could suck, you could do all kind of things, but you had to get our music right, Drew. And the music, all the music's so garbage. It's like listen, somebody say how this movie is made by AI. I'll believe you if they say that. You know, like if somebody they show that, you know, I wouldn't be surprised. But no, more likely humans make it. And it just felt like the laziest thing. Like Dread, what happened with all the Luz Lulin Manuel Miranda number or something? What going on?
You know?
It was bad.
Right?
Pretty bad. That was a mess. Like I find Wish didn't work. And it have worse movies on the list, I sure, but I know Wish just real bother me, Dread. Like, really? We just had, like, Encanto a couple years back. We're going with all here?
Yeah.
That is a mess. Like, unacceptable, Dread. Soul, Encanto, Moana, Coco. I mean, come on, dude. Come on. You cannot mess up music. Music is...
No.
You had all your bangers. I could not like everything else. Every story could suck, your character, everything could be crap, but once you had to get them music right, you had to get them songs right, Dread. And the Wish was so flat and terrible, Dread. Pretty bad. Yeah, that was most of the year. It's bother me. Bother me a lot. Just bother me.
Right.
I can't believe they make that. They work going on in Disney, boy.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Right.
Yeah,
So now let's get to some happy shit, right? So best of the best of the best, sir. Right. So Ricardo, you have the floor. Share your best.
Sure. Well, all right. So I just we getting 2 things. So I just going to cover the. All right. So this is first part of the list, right? This is good shit I didn't see.
Right.
Good shit I didn't see. It's stuff that I don't know if it for sure that it would be great, but I'm pretty sure these things would probably be damn good if it was if I saw them. All right. So here's my list of good shit I didn't see. Right. The Boy and the Heron. Didn't see it.
1 to 2.
Yeah, I didn't get around to that one either.
Yeah.
So that other stuff. Right?
Please, cinemas of Trinidad and Tobago, please give us this movie, please.
Yeah, they had to bring it up.
We promise we'll pay money to see it, please.
This is something I had a script idea for something similar in a local version of it. I'll talk to you after much about it.
Right.
But they made it. They made the version of it. And I was like, oh shit, this is exactly real similar idea I had. This is a movie called Late Night with the Devil. That's a damn cool premise. It's a cool premise. Look it up. For some reason you can't find a good trailer for it. I don't think you can find a trailer, but the premise is great. Like, ooh, and I really want to see it. It came out sometime earlier this year.
All right.
Next movie. Chalopi or The Peasants. There's a painted kind of movie. They're doing the Love and Vincent thing with this.
Okay. I know you're talking
I wanted to see that. Yeah. Yeah. American Fiction.
Yes.
The Iron Claw.
I think we're getting that in January in Trinidad.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I ain't got a chance to see that, but I heard really good things about it.
Me too.
The Color Purple.
We're getting that next week at the time of us recording
right.
this.
So I didn't get a chance to see it at this point in time, but I heard this might make the list. But I heard some good. I saw one review of it, and it's a really really good review, generally praising review.
Right.
Wicked Little Letters. Did see that? I heard that was pretty good. All Dirt Roads Taste of Salt. I heard about this.
Yes, I've heard about that too. Yes.
Right. Yeah, The Book of Clarence. A lot of hype around this. Didn't get a chance to see it yet.
Right.
I am so ready to see that.
Yeah. Last 2. Poor Things. Heard good things about that. And then Zone of Interest. Excited to see that. So
I would love if we could get Zone in Trinidad, but I know that Poor Things is coming out next month. I can't wait to see that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So just another quick list is internet video essays. This stuff does always make the list.
All right.
Gotcha.
I know you find some great ones, so looking out for the recommendations.
It's
Oh yeah.
It's stuff that stick to me. Like I don't go to movie to look at it. It's just, oh, this is a damn good video. It's worth talking about. Right. So number one. Well, this man don't miss. This boy don't miss. This is financial advice by Dan Olson. What this guy does, he breaks down
okay.
the kind of the culty nature of a lot of like the internet money stuff, so involving Bitcoin and whatever it is. But he goes, it becomes cultish, and he just gets into like this kind of borderline. I mean, as the kids say, delusional, like absolute delusional thinking when it comes to like how money should work and involving this kind of stuff. And there's a movie I should have put this movie on the list because I didn't see the movie this year. A movie called Dumb Money. That's similar to that. This idea of manipulating money and finance and just how horribly flawed the system is. Second, CJ the X Sins of Art, right? So I think this came out late last year. So I'm not sure. I don't know if it came out this year. I think it came out this late last year. But yeah, it's just the idea of art. So Mike Wise had a track called 27 Club.
Yes.
Right? Very similar idea. Similar idea about the idea of sacrificing yourself towards art and having the idea of conceits towards the premise of suffering and the contrivance of suffering to art. And then another person called I really like in Canada, Thoughts Line, has a great video about art and the nature of art. And there's the idea that you have to suffer for your art and this kind of contrivance towards suffering. And it's insidious business when you think about it. And they do a good job of addressing that. The relationship with art, what work you have to put in, how much effort you have to make, and why. This one is an interesting one. When porn went woke, by Foreign Man and a Foreign Man. Yeah. This guy is a Bahamian, I think, and he does a lot of really good stuff on race and some interesting stuff, right? But this one stuck with me because of the nature of it, especially involving black men. And this was particularly interesting. It's a really, really, really fascinating video. The video, from what I heard, the feedback has bounced off a little, not too great in leftist and progressive spaces. But I thought it's one of those interesting discussions to start with. But I heard the video had some problematic issues for it. But for the most part, I was really enjoying for what it is. But again, I'm too old for it in the sense of getting that aspect of it. It's high time people talk about something like this with it. And I thought that was a great video. This one is one of the probably most successful video of the year, probably biggest video of the year because of, the drama. And well, this is the counterpart to the art stuff. H-Bomber guy, plagiarism and YouTube.
Yes.
Holy shit. This was
that. Yeah.
This man just come in and just nuke a man's career dream. But is this fellow?
Yeah.
No, so here's the thing. Without this video, I didn't know who this guy was, but apparently he's very popular in queer spaces and wherever it is.
He is. He's really popular.
I didn't know about him. Right? Again, I'm too old or too outed, right? And this man just run through how much plagiarism this man do about other people's videos and books and this man just did not make an effort at all, Dread. And yeah, the man career more or less done, Dread. Man, your career just completely imploded. The man vanished off the internet. Like, wow, Dread.
I think it's even bigger than that because he doesn't just destroy his career. He kind of does a great job of highlighting how plagiarism. Yeah. There's a lot of people, and also just this idea that the ripple effects of this video have been truly spectacular, wild to watch, because now you get a whole bunch of follow-up videos of people being like, I discovered that I got plagiarized by someone, and it becomes
it became a chain effect on a couple of.
It has.
That's insane. Though. Wow.
This wasn't a nuke of one man's career. This was a nuke of YouTube. YouTube is reverberating with that video. It's wild.
So there's a video I couldn't get to see the whole thing because I didn't have time, but I saw the 10-minute snippet of it. This is Lindsay Ellis's video on the death of John Lennon and the career of Yoko Ono. That 10 minutes was solid stuff, eh? That 10 minutes alone was gripping stuff, wow. But I didn't get to see the whole thing, so just what I mentioned, because listen, if you were to get Nebula for one thing, you probably should get for that. Because that 10 minutes had me gripped. And I ain't see some good content from her in a while. So you're right, all the shit on the Nebula, unfortunately. So it's a shame. Last but not least, and this video, I can't believe. Okay, so I didn't sit down the entire time to watch the thing. I sat down with breaks, couple of breaks for it, but I sat down simply staying that long. I fell asleep because I was just too tired to keep up, but it had me gripped. The Lincoln Highway by Noah Caldwell Gervais. This is a 7-hour-long video about this guy's traveling the entire Lincoln Highway throughout the United States, the continental US.
Oh, wow.
And it's so good, though. It's just this guy breaking down just the historical landmarks, the history of the highway, him talking about the nature of the highway, which books he references with respect to that, and so on and so forth. And it's just such a great thing. This guy's always bringing out great videos. He's always bringing out videos on video games. Like, the first video he ever did was on Call of Duty and the history of Call of Duty and the Bush administration, war on terror stuff and that kind of stuff. But this video was so damn good. It's probably my favorite video of the year when it comes to just favorite internet video essay. Fantastic stuff.